War escalation causing big trouble in the markets there. Is this another opportunity to short? Guys, I've got 5 assets for you: NASDAQ, Dow, oil, gold, and BTC. This is the daily entry. Let's go. Now, you guys know by now the big news is the war escalation this weekend. And what did we see? We saw oil bounce and NASDAQ drop. And that short that I gave you guys on Friday played out perfectly over there. Then obviously the big news tomorrow is CPI. Okay, so we've got lots of volatility incoming here for us. But for me, the highlight has to be this NAS short that I gave you guys on Friday in a good zone. We got the reversal on the oscillator there. I was talking about the video. Look at that short into a long on the NAS and bang, look at that guy playing out so nicely there for us. So let me know in the comments if you guys did take some of these setups, because we also hit Dow, we did hit oil, and we hit gold as well. Okay, so now in terms of the NAS, what is the next playbook here on this guy? So you can see upside, we have now used that short zone, but I would say reasonably we can tackle this area again. So if there is a second push today, I would say we can reasonably look for a short in that zone. 29,770 into 29,860 looks okay for me to try the short on the NAS. If we pump harder today, this is still my high conviction short zone that I gave you guys last week, 30,070. I have limit orders waiting here to short the NAS. Super bearish order block up there as well, 786, wick fill, etc, etc. That looks like a banger. Then if the market drops further today, where can we look for scalp longs? Keeping it really simple here today, guys. Look for longs. 29,350 looks okay. We want to sweep this wick, give yourself some breathing room with a stop slightly under that zone. And then alternatively, if we drop a little bit further, I'm going to have a crack, or most likely going to have a crack at this 29,130 region. That will take out those wicks over there as well. Let's see if we can get a little mover. Remember the rules of engagement here. We want to marry our oscillator reversals at good zones. So you can see the oscillator reversed on Friday in that resistance zone that I gave you guys, and that gave us the trigger to look for the short. You want to play the same game now with longs and shorts, okay? And if they're not tying in, rather just be patient, wait for the next region. And remember also the rules here for me, we're looking for 1-to-1, 2-to-1 trades. We're not getting married to these positions. We want to ride them short term, get in and get out. If you're getting married to positions, you stand the risk obviously of getting round trips. So just be careful with how you're playing this stuff. We're not looking to get married to these guys. Short-term moves in and out. Okay, let's talk about the Dow. This thing was an absolute banger on Friday. This gave us multiple trades. You guys who watched those of you that watched the live trading with myself and Chento, we caught this one on the lower time frame. We got the bounce live on Friday, then it dropped again into the lower zone, and then look at this last night, it gave us another crack at that level. Look at that strong bounce there on the Dow. Now what you see unfolding at the moment is a typical short that we actually look for in these scenarios. Look at that, we've swept the highs and now they are dropping it down. So there's no fresh short now at the moment from these levels, but in terms of zones that I like and zones that I love, this is a relatively high conviction area higher up. 52,850 into 52,900 looks pretty good for me for a short on the Dow. If we push into that zone today, then in terms of longs, keep it really simple. Look at that, we've got a really simple wick that we can attack. So 52,410 looks decent to me. 52,410, look for the long there. Alternatively, if they drop it, look at these wicks, they more than likely are going to come for this at some point, and you can look for a long here. 52,260, 52,270 on the Dow making sense to me. And reminder, guys, make sure you tie in your oscillator. You want to see, ideally, you want to see reversal prints before you are engaging in these moves, longs and shorts. Now let's talk about oil. I covered this one on Friday as well. There were a couple of scenarios here, but this turned into an absolute banger. Look at this, oil pumps into the 200-day MA, sweeps it, hits the 786, and bang, down she goes. Okay, so oil played out really nicely. Now in terms of what is the playbook for today, well, let's take that away. Now we can look at a couple of scenarios. Number one is if oil keeps pushing to the upside, which is a probability. You can see there is a wick over there, and we do need to tackle that type of region. So in terms of where would I reasonably expect an oil rejection, I would say 75,230 into about 76,100 on the WTI crude vantage chart that I'm watching here at the moment. So that is a typical short zone that makes sense to me. Remember, in terms of stops, you want to give yourself breathing room above those highs. Give it some space in case they sweep sweep it a little bit to the upside. Then in terms of downside plays, I think it's relatively simple here. Look at this, we've got a gap on oil, so they might typically come and fill this gap and give you a short-term bounce. So that is 71.8 into about 71, makes sense for me. And then if they bleed this one even lower on oil, the other markets are going to pump. Crypto's going to pump, NAS is going to pump, Dow should pump higher up if they're dropping oil into the zone, and you're looking for long 69.3. And this is a very important region because this is the zone where you probably are going to be looking to short or at least get out of any longs that you are sitting in, for example, in crypto or the NAS. So just be super cautious there. 69.3, that is a big danger zone there on oil. Now remember, all of these charts, they go into the Chart Hackers Discord for you guys directly after the show. You'll find them in my section in the Discord. I've got a TradFi section where I'm keeping all of the stuff, and that is where I'm going to be posting updates on these trades during the course of the day. So if you're watching this video and you want updates, I've got you covered in the Hackers Discord. Remember, just go into the show description, click on more. All the information that you need is there, including the Discord, the indicators that I'm using. If you want to trade these things on UBIT with me, there's no KYC. You can jump in there and trade all these assets on UBIT. Okay, let's jump into the next one. This is gold. I covered this one on Friday as well. I gave you guys that lower region, and you can see gold has dropped into that zone and given us that bounce. Now we're trying to hunt where's the next trade for gold. So there's no trade here now for me that makes sense at the moment for gold, barring a short-term bounce. What I do like is a sweep of this wick lower down. Okay, so what we're looking at here for gold, look at that wick, and I would say 4,030 makes sense for me for a higher conviction play. Let them come and sweep those lows. Let this oscillator come and reset here, give us some divergence, something along those lines, and play gold over there. Then in terms of upside, this is unchanged from last week. I think 4,130, that is still a reasonable zone there for me. And remember, tie in your oscillator. You can see I've written a note here. Tie in your oscillator. Your oscillator needs to be talking to you. If you want to play the shorts or the longs, make sure it agrees with your planning. Now, in terms of Bitcoin, there's three setups here. One of them is super degen, and the two others are really nice zones where if we get a surprise tweet or some bearish news, we should hit some of these areas. Okay, so let's start with the degen short on Bitcoin. I really like 63,800 into 64,200. I've written here degen shorts, but look at that undercarriage 618,786 wick fill. I would say today, if we get some kind of news or some kind of pump, that could be interesting. Okay, so 63.8 into 64.2 looks nice for me on Bitcoin. If it runs harder, okay, the risk of you getting married to this trade trying to hold it is that Bitcoin can push up. And what I like then is 65k into 66. There's a 50-day MA here. It's a 786. I've got the VWAP. I've got bearish order blocks in that region as well. It's a hell zone. If you are a bull, it's a serious danger zone for Bitcoin. Okay, so 65 into 66k. That is a big short zone. That is the short zone I covered on Friday. I still have conviction in that area that we roll over. What happens if Bitcoin drops today, guys? Keep it really simple. Where am I looking for longs? Obviously, there's degen plays all the way down here, but what am I interested in? That wick over there, these horizontals, 61,200 into 60,400. That looks okay to me for some kind of long today on BTC, and we've got nice tie-in on that Licky's heat map as well at around about 61. Okay, so guys, remember, rules of engagement here: 1-to-1, 2-to-1 trades, good zones only. Oscillator must be agreeing with you. You want that oscillator to be reversing if you're going to play those zones. Don't get married to them. Don't hang on too long. Updates in the Discord. See you guys later.